Whether new shooter, longtime gun owner, or even police officer or soldier, your handgun needs a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Crimson Trace.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, welcome back. Round two. Absolutely shocking, startling news. An anti-gun group has proclaimed that the answer is to get rid of guns. We'll come back to that. I told Jim we would get to him. We held him over the break here. So before we get to our guest, I got to get on line two. Jim's calling out of Kansas. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Tom?
I'm good. What you looking to do?
Well, I'm considering getting a small pocket pistol for those times when you just can't carry something a little bit bigger. And
right.
I was wondering, one, what gun you like, two, caliber. I know you sacrifice the amount of bullets you can carry. You have to have,
right.
a smaller stack to hide it and get it out of your pocket. And so I was wondering your thoughts on that.
Okay, let me ask you, how small is small? Because we've got like everything from a full-size 1911 down to itty-bitty guns. What pocket do you, have you thought about literally which pocket you want to carry it in?
Probably a deep front pocket.
Okay. First of all, my first thing is it has to be in a holster. When it's in your pocket,
Yes.
It still must be in a holster. Okay. I will tell you, if your pockets and your pants allow, a .38 Snubby is an excellent, excellent choice for a pocket gun. It may be a little bit too big for some people, body size, makeup and all of that, pants you wear, that type of thing. If it is, then I would probably offer that something like the Ruger LCP. I carry an LCP often. It's a .380. It's small. It doesn't have a lot of rounds in it, but it is infinitely light years better than not having anything with you at all. And it will go in a front pants pocket. It'll go in a rear pants pocket with various types of holsters. And their new one is called the LCP-C, I think, for custom. It has a little bit better sights on it. The original one doesn't have a lot in the way of sights. But I know a lot of people who carry an LCP. Here's the thing. The .380 is actually a pretty decent defensive cartridge as long as you use good expanding bullets, good ammo in it.
Okay. If I carry a lot of Glocks, and one of the things I like about that is the magazines, as long as you're in the same caliber, are interchangeable. So in my 26, I can put a 17-round or even a 33-round magazine in it if I so choose. Is there a .380 where you can get a larger capacity magazine to be your spare mag?
Okay, the solution to this is, it's going to sound crazy, but it's actually easy. Get two pistols. Your backup magazine is a fully loaded pistol. These things are so small.
Your wallet's cheaper than mine.
Your pistol is actually smaller than one of these pistols is smaller than your 17-round mag for your Glock. And I understand what you're saying about the cost. I get that. But I guess the quick answer is no. You're giving up a lot here. You're not going to get a high-cap magazine to go into your little LCP. Listen, I got to keep it moving here, Jim. I appreciate the call. It is an issue that a lot of us deal with. Sometimes I need to, I can carry a big gun, and sometimes I cannot. And when I cannot, I carry the LCP or something along those lines. All right. Big surprise, right? Da-da-da-da-da. The folks in California have lost their minds again, or maybe they just have they never regained them. they're passing more bans. Joining me to talk about what's going on out there is from the Calguns Foundation, Gene Hoffman. Gene, what's going on out there?
It's standard California craziness. The current version is that the Supreme Court didn't take a challenge to Sunnyvale and San Francisco's magazine capacity ban. So, kind of complex. California, it's illegal to buy or import any magazine larger than 10 rounds, but if you own them before basically 2000, you can still possess them. And what's happening is the various cities, and the most recent one in the news was Los Angeles, are basically saying, nope, we're going to either force you to get rid of them or confiscate any magazine you have larger than 10 rounds.
So let's make sure people understand what we're talking about. This is not a ban on being able to buy them. They already had that in place. Now they're saying, we are going to confiscate them, and your only option is to get rid of them before we get to you.
That's correct.
And this is for all those people who said, well, they'll never, we don't want to confiscate your guns. We don't want to take away your guns. We don't want to take away blah, 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 until they do.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it also causes all sorts of trouble because, of course, believe it or not, California does have quite a few carry licenses. And if your carry gun has a magazine in it that's larger than 10 rounds and you're in Sunnyvale, San Francisco, or Los Angeles and you don't know about these things, you're actually violating the municipal code at least.
So where do you go from here on that issue?
Well, there's one wrinkle to all of this. In California, these kinds of measures can't pass without the assistance of law enforcement. And most of these measures will generally exempt retired police officers. But Los Angeles didn't. And the reason they didn't is because here in the Ninth Circuit, way back the first time our assault weapons ban was challenged, it was actually struck down that retired law enforcement officers could keep so-called assault weapons. Because, what's the difference between a retired cop and you and me? And interestingly, let's say it this way, you can imagine a lot of current law enforcement expect to be retired law enforcement in the not-too-distant future.
Yes.
This little wrinkle leaves some interesting politics, at least in Los Angeles, because as I said right now, even retired cops can't have a magazine larger than 10 rounds in Los Angeles.
So where's the pressure going to come from? I mean, are retired cops going to apply that pressure, or are the current police going to apply that? And how do you even go revisit this issue? Well,
there's two things here. One, there's the equal protections challenge to some of the places that do have that exemption, because as I said, courts here have already looked at that and said that's not okay. But I think the more important item is we're going to have to really wait for the next major Supreme Court gun case. Our suspicion is it's going to be either Richards and Peruta here or the Wren case in D.C. And those are obviously about carry, but I think it's going to be important for the Supreme Court to speak again about kind of what is the scope of the right and, what do those things handle. And behind that, there are a couple other challenges. California is slowly but surely banning all semi-automatic handguns that are introduced new with their micro-stamping rules and the handgun roster. Our case on that is on the Court of Appeals right now. We should have our kind of oral argument in that in the next 3 or 4 months. That's kind of the next thing behind carry. And, what's going to happen as higher courts talk about what's common and what's not common. No one actually argues that these magazines are uncommon. And, once that's the case, it's pretty clear that what Heller meant was that these magazines are protected. But it's going to take some changes in the higher courts before we can go back at those.
All right, and then now you've got another case, and we'll spin over to, where you have the Second Amendment marching right along with the First Amendment, and they're banning people being able to put up signs or pictures of handguns. And the judge says, yes, it's a violation, but I'm not going to stop it. What's that about?
Now, this is the special case of all gun litigation is gun litigation, and it's not normal. You're absolutely right that we asked for a preliminary injunction because these kinds of restrictions on speech are just unconstitutional.
Well, first of all, so explain what it is, if you would, please. What happened?
Yeah, so in the 1920s, California passed a kind of General Revolver Act that quite a few states actually implemented. And so, in fact, this restriction exists in some archaic other state codes. But the restriction is you can't have a depiction of a handgun or a pistol or a revolver, or however you define that, out front of the store, on the store sign, or on the store window. And, we never figured this would ever be enforced, but for some reason our Department of Justice decided to start citing gun stores that had pistols on their pictures. And, in fact, one that's really local to me here in San Carlos, California, they've had that sign about 20 years. So right now they've got a little orange thing covering it with the word censored on it, and it's quite hilarious. But,
wow.
We've sued. You're correct. The judge looked at it and went, well, I think the balance of the harms, even though they're violating your rights, isn't so strong, and maybe the government can make some case, but you're probably going to win.
But he won't grant you the injunction.
So we've appealed that. We think that any federal court that realizes that your speech is being infringed like that is absolutely in error to not enjoin that sort of behavior.
All right, one other thing. I'm going to throw this wild card at you because last week we got a call from a guy who says, I'm asking him, he said, well, he doesn't have a concealed carry permit because, he didn't want to be on a list. And I said, well, are you, what else are you doing? Are you contributing to any gun rights groups, NRA, anybody? Oh, no, I don't want to be on any of those lists. Of course, I just lost my head over that.
Yes.
You tend to be more reasoned in your response. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, look, if we all think we're originalists and want to go back to what the heck the Second Amendment and then the 14th Amendment were created for, it was that the police force was us. You were supposed to muster, and muster meant that you had to show up with your guns. And, of course, you were on a government list. That was the point. And anyone who says, the militia clause is completely devoid, doesn't know their federal law, every single one of us, well, arguably anybody under 45, is in the unorganized militia by law. So, the reality of that is I want to be on the list that says you can't repress me, you can't violate my rights easily.
That's what one of our callers said. Hey, it's okay to be on a list. Just make sure you're on the right lists.
That's exactly right.
I go with that. Gene, tell them where they can get more information about what's going on out in California.
Best way, calgunsfoundation.org, or check out the forums at calguns.net.
There you go. Get involved. Even if you don't live in California, it's educational, and it'll get you fired up. Gene, thank you so much. Gene Hoffman, always a great guest here. All right, we're open lines now. 866-TALK-GUN. 866-TALK-GUN.
Put a pistol in your hand, and what's your first thought? How does it feel? Then, how can I make it perfect for me? That's why FNH USA is offering the FNS Compact, perfect for concealed carry, ergonomic, ambidextrous, customizable, part of the highly regarded FNS series of striker-fired polymer pistols. Find your perfect pistol. Learn more about the FNS and FNX lines at your dealer, or visit us at fnhusa.com.
A great trigger can make you a better shooter. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. Installation is easy. Give yourself the Timney Trigger advantage. To see more and order online, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
The .45 Auto, also known as the 1911, is the standard other defensive pistols are measured against. No matter what pistol you carry, techniques developed around the 1911 are vital. You know you need training, and you know your concealed carry class definitely was not training. Now GUNTALK presents an exciting DVD, Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. Tiger's unique training style will have you drawing, moving, shooting, and running your gun better, no matter what style pistol you prefer. At shopguntalk.com, you can order our DVDs of Tiger's instruction. Shopguntalk.com also has a 2-DVD set, including Concealed Carry 1. Get both for the information you know you need. This really is life and death. Shopguntalk.com has DVDs, books, and other essential gear. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Who will you trust with your guns and valuables? Liberty safes are the best built and most secure safes on the planet. They sell more gun safes than any other brand. It's about trust earned through performance. If your Liberty safe is damaged by fire or attempted break-in, they'll send a new safe right to your home. Protection from thieves and fire. Trust the #1 maker of quality gun safes. LibertySafe.com.
All right, welcome back. 866-TALK-GUN. 866-TALK-GUN. Yes, we have... I was actually asked by somebody in the media interview on this. So there's a story in Mother Jones. I said, well, just stop right there. I mean, come on, it's Mother Jones. But researchers, a new, quote-unquote, study by David Swedler, trained at the Gun Control Crusader Bloomberg School of Public Health, and co-authored by longtime anti-gun researcher David Hemingway of the Harvard School of Public Health, uses rigged methodology to conclude that law enforcement officers are more likely to be murdered in states that have higher levels of gun ownership. As a result, the authors say, quote, states should consider methods for reducing firearm ownership as a way to reduce occupational deaths of law enforcement officers. Now, as you might expect, our friend John Lott jumped all over that because he is a master at statistics and studies and all that. He painstakingly takes this thing apart. One of the things he found was, you'll love this, when these anti-gun researchers were trying to establish states that have higher gun ownership, did they look at gun ownership? No, they did not. They looked at suicides with guns, and states that had more suicides with guns, they said they have higher gun ownership. No, I'm not making this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Lordy, lordy, lordy. Line one, George is with us out of New York State. Hey, George, you're up.
You know, I was just flabbergasted. I really appreciate the way you handled the guy last week who called in and said, I don't have my name on any list. You know, it's just really irritating to me that people like that even exist. If I remember correctly, the people that founded the country put their name on a list. They wanted to put their name on the list. And, you know, in New York State, that's what you have to do. I'm suing the local sheriff's department. I was part of a lawsuit against Cuomo to find out how many registered so-called assault weapons there were. And in a state, all the New York states that supposedly had up to 1 million so-called assault weapons, you know, it's amazing. Only 23,000 people registered about 40,000 so-called assault weapons. So I guess we can sort of guess there's a whole bunch out there that people, that is one list they didn't want to put their name on. So
yeah, I understand, George. It's an incredible thing. You know, as I'm thinking about this whole thing of not wanting to be on a list, George makes a great point. He says, look, the founders of this country put their name on a piece of paper, knowing that they could be arrested, tried, and executed for being on that list. Think about that. I'm going to sign this public document that says the British are wrong and we are going to get our independence, and I know that if they catch me, they will kill me. They will take everything I own. They will take everything away from my family, and they will kill me. And I will sign my John Hancock and all the other names to this. And we have this person, actually we have a lot of people who say, but I don't want to be on a list. You're a damn coward. You know that? You're just a coward. Stand up, speak your name, use your real name online. This is who I am, and this is what I stand for. This is what I believe. This is what I will support. Don't have any money? That's okay. Volunteer. Take somebody's shooting. Go to the range. Be a volunteer. Be a range officer. Get involved at some level. But do not hide behind this canard of, I don't want to be on a list. You know what I hear when I hear that? When somebody says, I don't want to be on a list, I say, you're just a coward. You're selfish. self-indulgent, clueless person. Stand up like a man or a woman and get involved. Otherwise, get out of the way. Just get out of the way because you're a problem. For those of us who want to advance gun rights, to regain gun rights, we have to deal with that. We have to pull your weight along. Man. Line 2. Mike's out of Mendon, Nevada. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Tom. Hey, I listened to the show, and the fellow that was calling in about a lot of potential energy in a small package, the one I've got is a Bersa Thunder Plus, and it's got 15 rounds in the magazine, one in the chamber, and with the good quality 380 ammo, that's a lot of potential energy in a small package. It's just a little bit bigger than a PPK, especially like in the handle. But a guy like me, I've got big hands, so it's not a bother.
Well, it's a good point, and it all depends. When somebody says, I want a little gun, that's why I always ask, I say, okay, how little are we talking about? Because to a lot of people, a Glock 19 is a little gun. All right? Well, no. Or a Springfield XDS is a little gun, or a Shield. And for some, they say, oh, no, that's still too big. I want the LC9. Okay, that's a little bit smaller. Or I want the Glock 42. That's a little bit smaller. Or go all the way down to an LCP. That's a little bit smaller. Somewhere on this line, basically the whole spectrum between little bitty and great big, somewhere there's a gun for you. And for you, it's the Bersa. And I like that. 15 rounds of 380, nothing in the world wrong with that, man. How'd you arrive at that decision?
Because I had the previous one that was a single stack 7-rounder, and the darn thing shoots so good, if you point at it, you can hit it, because that handle and the barrel are all one piece, and it's a great shooting gun. And then when they came out with the Plus, I ended up selling the single stack and got the double.
Okay, I think Mike has just figured it out. He says, if you point at it, you can hit it. That's pretty high praise for any gun. Isn't that the whole idea of what we're trying to do here? 866-TALK-GUN gets you in there. Reciprocity. Do you ever look at that? Do you have a carry permit in more than one state? I don't, but I'm thinking about doing it. If you have a carry permit in more than one state, let me know how you did it, which state it is, and why you did that. 866-TALK-GUN.
Broadcasting nationwide, you're listening to Gun Talk. And now, back to Tom.
All right, back with you here. We're talking this whole idea of people say, I don't want to be on a list. Angie's got a take on that on line 1 out of Medford, Oregon. Angie, what do you think?
Well, hey, Tom, I do get what you're saying, you have the bravery to put your name on that list and stand for what you believe. What my issue is that you have to really think about if you've got a family, especially with children, and they, maybe your wife or your husband doesn't believe in carrying weapons, and then, so they're like, well, it's fine if you do, but we don't want to, or I don't want to, and I don't want the kids having anything to do with it. Then you have to respect that, because right now we're dealing, even just as Republicans, let alone being Christians and Republicans, you're being persecuted right now.
I'm still not understanding where the problem is. Can you explain it to me a little bit more? Because why do I need to be concerned about my family, my wife, and children about putting my name on a list? What could happen?
Well, like martial laws get declared, for whatever reason. They declare martial law. They come to confiscate your weaponry. We're just already seeing how they could use your children and your spouse as a weapon against you to get you to give up your guns. They could literally have your children and your spouse and say, well, we've got your family here. You need to give up your guns.
Well, I don't discount what you're saying. It is a horrible idea, and yes, it is entirely possible. And there are going to be those listening who say, well, police officers would never do that. Yes, they will. They will do what they're told. There will be some who won't do it, but for a lot of them, they don't care one way or the other. They're just going to do what they're told. It's a job. Now, there are a lot of good folks, oath keeper types who would not do it, but some will. I guess, Angie, I come to that with several thoughts. First of all, no, I don't have to respect it. If somebody says, I don't want any guns in this house, I have no respect for that whatsoever, and I would not respect that. Couldn't live with a person like that. Somebody says, you cannot protect my family. I'm going to refuse to let you protect our family. We're going to live in different houses at that point. But let's talk real world, and I'm going to honor your premise here. Somebody declares martial law, and they're using the list of gun owners to come door to door, take up weapons. A couple of things. One is, and I know it's not going to work for everybody, but I think everybody who is serious about this ought to have one gun that there are no records for. Whether you went to a gun show and bought it from an individual, entirely legal. You bought it from an individual somewhere else, entirely legal. You did not go through a gun dealer, so there's no record of it there. I think it's not a bad idea for everybody, just as a hedge, to have one gun somewhere that simply never comes forward. People are going to say, you're paranoid, Tom. Damn right. If you're not, you're crazy. Because I think Angie's actually onto something here. Yeah, I like that. Jim says, hey, just swap guns with a buddy. What happened to that gun that you... And here's the other thing. There, in most states, now not in all, but in most states, there's nothing that requires you to record any gun that you sell to somebody. I sold that gun 4 years ago. Do you have a receipt for it? No, I got cash for it. Dude, remember, it's not a sin to tell a lie to somebody who's not entitled to know the truth. So, Angie, I respect your premise. I think it's a bit out there, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. So, again, where I would come down is I wouldn't say, well, I'm not going to put my name on a list. I would say I'm going to take some other actions to make sure that when there's a Katrina, and just for those who say, well, that would never happen, 10 years ago in New Orleans, door-to-door searches, guns pointed at homeowners and said, give me all your guns. SWAT teams going door-to-door, pointing AR-15s at people saying, give me your guns, basically threatening to kill them if they didn't turn in their guns. Because the police chief said nobody in this town is going to have a gun other than law enforcement. Dangerous. Mayhem. Mogadishu-like. You're on your own. There is no 911. There is no 911. There's nobody to call. And if you could get a call through, nobody's going to come. And they're going to say, yes, we know we can't protect you, but we're going to now make sure that you can't protect yourself. So it does happen. It has happened. It will happen again, whether or not you're on a list. This wasn't going, with a list. This was literally going door to door. I would offer that perhaps you might want to consider, what is my take? What's my position? What am I going to do if that should happen? What am I going to do? 866-TALK-GUN. We'll be right back.
The Ruger American Rifle is a 100% American-made firearm that offers outstanding performance at a great price. Available in standard size and compact models, it features power bedding integral bedding blocks, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, a flush-fit 4-round rotary magazine, and a 3-lug bolt with 70-degree throw. Compact models feature a shorter length of pull and a shorter barrel for a reduction in overall length of more than 5 inches. The Ruger American Rifle, another rugged and reliable firearm from Ruger.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Batagroup. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
There's a rise in home invasions in America, and you need to be ready. Ready to protect yourself and your family. The Bedside Backup from Crossbreed Holsters keeps your gun at your bedside, ready to go. It also folds flat for easy storage and travel. Take it with you and use with any hotel bed. To see more, go to crossbreedholsters.com. That's crossbreedholsters.com. The Bedside Backup is not a child safety device.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Brownells has always given you an advantage. With their huge selection of forever guaranteed gun parts, ammunition, shooting accessories, and more. And now, they're offering you the Edge. For just $49.95, Brownells Edge covers your standard shipping and any return shipping cost for 1 year. Brownells Edge members also receive discount expedited shipping and exclusive offers. Get the Edge today by visiting brownells.com/edge.
Email coming in. Oh, by the way, email is tom@guntalk.com. Bought some EWL and Carbon Blaster. This is from the folks at Slip 2000. Bought some EWL and Carbon Blaster after hearing about it on the show. Truly amazing stuff. The Carbon Blaster has the advantage of taking baked-on carbon deposits off of brass candle followers like nothing I've ever seen. Thanks for the heads up. This guy's a priest, by the way. I love it. I don't know what it is about that. By the way, we're giving away the Ruger Precision Rifle. This is the hottest thing going right now. Everybody I'm talked to says, man, have you seen that thing? I really want one of those. What caliber would you get? Well, we've got one, and it's your choice. You could get whatever caliber. They have, what do they have? 243, 6.5 Creedmoor, and 308. If you go, yeah, I know, Jim wants the 6.5. If you go to guntalk.com/win, you can enter for a chance to win it. This I think this is the last, yes, this is the last week. So get in there, and it doesn't cost you anything to enter. You might win it. Somebody wins. Somebody is going to win this thing, and the odds are a whole lot better than a lottery, for heaven's sakes. So it's the Ruger Precision Rifle, an uber cool. It looks cool. It shoots great. So there you go. Line 3, Mike is in Missouri. Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Yes,
I just wanted to ask you if you are aware that Minnesota ended its reciprocity agreement with Missouri, Texas, Utah, and I think might have been North Dakota, one other state anyway. And
I was not. Did they say why?
Yeah, it's effective August 1st, and their excuse is that our laws are different substantially than theirs. And the reason ours is different is that Missouri and Texas allow veterans or active military 19 to 21 to carry, and Minnesota does not. So because of that, I, a 69-year-old that is a former Minnesota resident, and I carry there quite a bit because we visit there often, I am now not able to carry in Minnesota.
Interesting. Kind of goes to my question of people who have a carry permit from more than one state. You may want to look at either Florida or Utah, find out if Minnesota will honor the non-resident from either of those states.
I'm not sure about Florida, but Utah is one that they canceled in this August 1st deal.
Okay. You might check on Florida. A lot of states honor Florida, but, and this is the big but, They may say, yes, we honor Florida, but then when you read the fine print, it may say, but only those issued to Florida residents. So check on that. But you really do point out a problem here. Yeah, handgunlaw.us is a good place and for information on that. You point out an issue. We really need national reciprocity. Basically, if you have a carry permit anywhere, it should be good everywhere. Simple as that. We just got to get that going. And the only way that's going to happen, frankly, is to get a Republican-controlled White House. Not a guarantee then either. Republicans are slightly better than Democrats on guns, but only slightly. Only slightly. Line 2, Chris, Medford, Oregon, talking about getting on the list. Oh, Chris just went away. Sorry about that, Chris. Let's try Gary on 4. Gary's with us out of Dayton, Nevada. Hey, Gary.
Tom, a while back, one of your callers was inquiring about a 1911 barrel with a left-hand twist.
Uh-huh.
And they give a left-handed shooter a little bit of an edge. That gun, as light as it is, with a big, heavy bullet, tends to torque a little bit. And with the right-hand twist, you're right-handed, it wants to stay in the palm of your hand. Whereas the right-hand twist for a left-handed person wants to open up your fingers. So, yes, I'd highly recommend it. I bet our friends at Brownell has those. But, yeah, for a left-handed shooter for the 1911, left-hand twist by all means.
Son of a gun. Yeah, if anybody would have it, Brownells would. Now, you got something about a 280, which is one of my favorite calibers.
Yeah, I've owned everything but one of those over the years. And it's first deer rifle I just bought for my grandson. He's a pretty good-sized grandson. 6'6", 25 years old. But anyhow, I got him a Ruger #1, lightweight, and 280, and we're going to put the frosting on the cake with a 1.75 to 6 Leopold. And I think
nice.
But I was wondering if anyone's had experience shooting the 175 grain bullet in those.
Well, sure. The question becomes very quickly, why would you do that? Because 160 to 140 is kind of the sweet spot for that. You don't have quite enough powder capacity to shove a 175 out faster. Why are you thinking about a 175?
Oh, I was just thinking for heavy, thick-skinned game like elk or bear or things like that, or maybe in heavy cover like we do have some around this country.
Nothing in the world wrong with it. If you're particularly if you're not going to be making real long shots out to 250, 300 yards, 175 would work. But honestly, I got to say that there are so many good 160 grain bullets that are either bonded, like the Nosler bullets, or they are the all bronze, all copper rather bullets, like from Barnes Bullets. They penetrate every bit as deeply as a 175, and you get a little bit more velocity and a little bit flatter shooting with them.
Well, I think you'll like that 280. Those Ruger #1s are getting awful hard to get these days, looks like.
You know, it used to be that the Ruger #1s were available in a whole bunch of different calibers, and they've scaled back a lot. And so you kind of have to wait, and they turn out a new caliber like every year. And when it comes out in the caliber you want, you better snatch it up because it may not be available next year. So I agree with you. And that may be, honestly, the most beautiful factory rifle being made, the Ruger #1. It is just gorgeous. So I appreciate the call. What a nice thing to do to somebody. Give them a Ruger #1. You pretty much didn't get any better than that. Line 1, Bill, Lincoln, Montana. Been thinking about these gun-free signs?
Yes, I listened to the one caller that had talked about that, and it's just the way that I am anyway, is when I do see one of those signs, which is very rare here in Montana where I live at, but I have seen it and I have gone in, and like I said, I carry all the time, and I will be, I'll take it out, I'll leave it in my vehicle, I walk into there, I need to see your manager, and I make them aware that I will never set foot inside of there, I'll never do business with them ever. I mean, that's my only way that I can protest that kind of attitude, and I will not be in a place where I cannot or I do not have the ability to defend myself or those around me.
There you go, and that's exactly what each of us has to do. And, you know, the thing is, if one person does it, it may not have an effect, but if 20 people do it, it can have an effect. might be, hey, here's an action item for you. Get your gun club, shooting club involved, your hunting club, and over the course of a week have 20 or 30 people go in and all say basically the same thing. I wonder if that would get someone's attention. All right, we got an email in from Shane. He's looking for a Smith & Wesson Model 60 Pro. I just looked it up on their website. Gorgeous, out of the Performance Center. Gorgeous thing. It's hard, having trouble finding one. I just looked on galleryofguns.com. It says out of stock there. Anybody know where you can get one of those, or who might have one in stock? We'll see if we can help Shane out there. You know, we all help each other, especially when it comes to spending money. Boy, I like to help people spend their money. Scott's on line 2 out of New Philadelphia, Ohio. Scott, what kind of permit do you have there?
I have a Utah permit, Tom.
Okay.
I compared the Utah to Arizona to Florida. The Utah was the best. I got it through a local outfitter that they held the class. It was a company by the name of Lethal Force out of Pennsylvania, held the class. It took about 4 hours on a Saturday morning. When you were done, they went through all of the laws. They had you fingerprinted, had your photograph, had all the application forms filled out. All you needed to do was put it in an envelope, send it to Utah along with a $51 fee, which was good for 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, Utah will send you their new application forms, and the next 5 years cost you $15. The only requirement is you have to have your home state permit for Utah, which you don't necessarily have to for Arizona, and I'm not sure about Florida. But it's a very good permit. It's accepted in more states than either of the other two, and they're both good as well. But I've had mine now for about 2.5 years, I think, and I've had no issue with it going into any of the other states that it covers that Ohio does not. It was a very good permit. Okay, so very easy to get.
So you have your Ohio permit and your Utah permit, right?
Yes, you have to have the permit of your state of residence before you can get the Utah permit.
Ah, okay. Very good. Well, I appreciate that.
Very well, and it's a really good deal. The class was easy. Like I say, within 4 hours, you didn't have to do any shooting because you've already done that by having your Ohio permit.
Yes.
They did go over all the laws and all the forms were filled out, and et cetera.
Very good. Look, I appreciate the info. That is good info. Line 4, Robert, Elko, Nevada. Robert, you're up.
Hi. Yeah, just a quick comment and then a question. Comments on that guy that didn't want to be on any list or whatnot. It's kind of a moot point because if you buy a gun from a licensed FFL, you're on a list, right?
Of course you are.
And your comment about having an unregistered or non-existent gun in the house is also a good idea. I live by that one. And the question I got is, the wife won a little Walther PP or P22 out of our Wild Turkey Federation banquet, and we're having trouble with some of the ammunition that we use, and it is causing a jamming problem. Some ammunition's good, some isn't. Is there any recommendation on what's good, what's not? I noticed at Remington we had a lot of problems with on the 22 long rifle. CCI is a good bullet. Didn't have any problems with that.
Well, you've just identified the issue. 22 is, some guns are particular about which brand, and I would say this, try some different ones, and once you find the ammo that gun will run reliably, then go out, and of course these days it's hard to buy a lot of 22 ammo, but get as much as you can and stick with that brand. I can't offer a thought that says, well, this is the one that's going to make it run better, because the ammo that works good in my 22 may not be the ammo that works well in your semi-auto 22. And I wish it were not that way, but it just is. And they just, good point, even if it's the same model. So we're good news and bad news. The good news is we get to go out and shoot some to figure it all out. The bad news is we have to, shoot some ammo and figure out which one works. And I would want to put 100 or 200 rounds through it and say, okay, several failures to feed or something here. We're not going to use that. But here's the deal. When you find the one that works, start trying, to get as much of that ammo as you can. Oh, yeah, also mark the mags. Make sure that you don't have a mag issue. So because sometimes you get a mag that's throwing out problems for you. Tell you what, when we come back, we're going to have everything you ever wanted to know about silencers, why you want one, and how to get one.